Part first. Vajasrava, being desirous of heavenly rewards, at the Viswajit sacrifice, made a gift of all that he possessed. He had a son by the name of Nachiketas. When the offerings were being distributed, faith, Shraddha, entered the heart of Nachiketas, who, though young, yet respected. These cows have drunk water, eaten grass, and given milk for the last time, and their senses have lost all vigor. He who gives these undoubtedly goes to joyless realms. In India, the idea of sacrifice has always been to give freely for the joy of giving, without asking anything in return, and the whole purpose and merit of the sacrifice is lost if the giver entertains the least thought of name, fame, or individual benefit. The special Viswajit sacrifice which Vajasrava was making required of him to give away all that he possessed. When, however, the gifts were brought forward to be offered, his son Nachiketas, although probably a lad about 12 years of age, observed how worthless were the animals which his father was offering. His heart at once became filled with Shraddha. There is no one English word which can convey the meaning of this Sanskrit term. It is more than mere faith. It also implies self-reliance, an independent sense of right and wrong, and the courage of one's own conviction. As a boy of tender age, Nachiketas had no right to question his father's action, yet, impelled by the sudden awakening of his higher nature, he could not but reflect, by merely giving these useless cows, my father cannot gain any merit. If he has vowed to give all his possessions, then he must also give me. Otherwise his sacrifice will not be complete and fruitful. Therefore, anxious for his father's welfare, he approached him gently and reverently. He said to his father, "Dear father, to whom wilt thou give me?" He said it a second time, then a third time. The father replied, "I shall give thee unto death." Nachiketas, being a dutiful son and eager to atone for his father's inadequate sacrifice, tried to remind him thus indirectly that he had not fulfilled his promise to give away all his possessions, since he had not yet offered his own son, who would be a worthier gift than useless cattle. His father, conscious that he was not making a true sacrifice, tried to ignore the boy's questions, but irritated by his persistence, he at last impatiently made answer, "I give thee to Yama, the Lord of Death." The fact that anger could so quickly rise in his heart proved that he had not the proper attitude of a sacrificer, who must always be tranquil, uplifted, and free from egoism. Nachiketas thought, among many of my father's pupils, I stand first, among many others I stand in the middle, but never last. What will be accomplished for my father by my going this day to Yama? It was not conceit which led Nachiketas to consider his own standing and importance. He was weighing his value as a son and pupil in order to be able to judge whether or not he had merit enough to prove a worthy gift. Although he realized that his father's harsh reply was only the expression of a momentary outburst of anger, yet, he believed that greater harm might befall his father if his word was not kept. Therefore he sought to strengthen his father's resolution by reminding him of the transitory condition of life. He said, "Look back to those who lived before and look to those who live now. Like grain the mortal decays and like grain again springs up, is reborn. All things perish, truth alone remains. Why then fear to sacrifice me also?" Thus Nachiketas convinced his father that he should remain true to his word and send him to Yama, the ruler of death. Then Nachiketas went to the abode of death, but Yama was absent, and the boy waited without food or drink for 3 days. On Yama's return one of his household said to him, "Like fire, a Brahmana guest enters into houses. That fire is quenched by an offering. Therefore, O Vivaswata, bring water." The foolish man in whose house a Brahmana guest remains without food, all his hopes and expectations, all the merit gained by his association with the holy, by his good words and deeds, all his sons and cattle, are destroyed. According to the ancient Vedic ideal, a guest is the representative of God and should be received with due reverence and honor. Especially is this the case with a Brahmana or a Sannyasin whose life is wholly consecrated to God. Anyone who fails to give proper care to a holy guest brings misfortune on himself and his household. When Yama returned, therefore, one of the members of his household anxiously informed him of Nachiketas' presence and begged him to bring water to wash his feet, this being always the first service to an arriving guest. Yama said, "O Brahmana, revered guest, my salutations to thee. As thou hast remained 3 nights in my house without food, therefore choose 3 boons, O Brahmana. Nachiketa said, May Gautama, my father, be free from anxious thought about me. May he lose all anger towards me, and be pacified in heart. May he know and welcome me when I am sent back by thee. This, O death, is the first of the 3 boons I choose. Yama replied, Through my will Audalaki thy father, will know thee, and be again towards thee as before. He will sleep in peace at night. He will be free from wrath when he sees thee released from the mouth of death. Nachiketa said, In the realm of heaven there is no fear, thou, death, art not there, nor is there fear of old age. Having crossed beyond both hunger and thirst and being above grief, they rejoice in heaven. Thou knowest, O death, the fire sacrifice that leads to heaven. Tell this to me, who am full of shraddha, faith and yearning. They who live in the realm of heaven enjoy freedom from death. This I beg as my second boon. Yama replied, I know well that fire which leads to the realm of heaven. I shall tell it to thee. Listen to me. Know, O Nachiketas, that this is the means of attaining endless worlds and their support. It is hidden in the heart of all beings. Yama then told him that fire sacrifice, the beginning of all the worlds, what bricks, how many and how laid for the altar. Nachiketas repeated all as it was told to him. Then death, being pleased with him, again said. The great-souled Yama, being well pleased, said to him, Nachiketas, I give thee now another boon. This fire, sacrifice, shall be named after thee. Take also this garland of many colors. He who performs this Nachiketa fire sacrifice 3 times, being united with the 3, mother, father, and teacher, and who fulfills the 3-fold duty, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, and almsgiving, crosses over birth and death. Knowing this worshipful shining fire, born of Brahman, and realizing him, he attains eternal peace. He who knows the 3-fold Nachiketa fire and performs the Nachiketa fire sacrifice with 3-fold knowledge, having cast off the fetters of death and being beyond grief, he rejoices in the realm of heaven. O Nachiketas, this is thy fire that leads to heaven, which thou hast chosen as thy second boon. People will call this fire after thy name. Ask the third boon, Nachiketas. Fire is regarded as the foundation of all the worlds, because it is the revealer of creation. If there were no fire or light, no manifested form would be visible. We read in the Semitic scriptures, in the beginning the Lord said, Let there be light. Therefore, that which stands in the external universe as one of the purest symbols of the divine also dwells in subtle form in the heart of every living being as the vital energy, the life force, or cause of existence. Yama now tells Nachiketas how, by performing sacrifice with the 3-fold knowledge, he may transcend grief and death and reach heaven. The 3-fold knowledge referred to is regarding the preparation of the altar and fire. Nachiketas, being eager to learn, listened with wholehearted attention and was able to repeat all that was told him. This so pleased Yama that he granted him the extra boon of naming the fire sacrifice after him and gave him a garland set with precious stones. Verses 16 to 18 are regarded by many as an interpolation, which would account for certain obscurities and repetitions in them. Nachiketas said, There is this doubt regarding what becomes of a man after death. Some say he exists, others that he does not exist. This knowledge I desire, being instructed by thee. Of the boons, this is the third boon. Yama replied, Even the Devas, bright ones, of old doubted regarding this. It is not easy to know, subtle indeed is this subject. O Nachiketas, choose another boon. Do not press me. Ask not this boon of me. Nachiketas said, O death, thou sayest that even the Devas had doubts about this, and that it is not easy to know. Another teacher like unto thee is not to be found. Therefore, no other boon can be equal to this one. Yama said, Ask for sons and grandsons who shall live 100 years, many cattle, elephants, gold, and horses. Ask for lands of vast extent and live thyself as many autumns as thou desirest. If thou thinkest of any other boon equal to this, ask for wealth and long life, be ruler over the wide earth. O Nachiketas, I shall make thee enjoyer of all desires. Whatsoever objects of desire are difficult to obtain in the realm of mortals, ask them all as thou desirest, these lovely maidens with their chariots and musical instruments, such as are not obtainable by mortals, be served by these whom I give to thee. O Nachiketas, do not ask regarding death. The third boon asked by Nachiketas concerning the great hereafter was one which could be granted only to those who were freed from all mortal desires and limitations. Therefore, Yama first tested Nachiketas to see whether he was ready to receive such knowledge. Do not press me regarding this secret, he said. Even wise men cannot understand it, and thou art a mere lad. Take, rather, long life, wealth, whatever will give thee happiness on the mortal plane. But the boy proved his strength and worthiness by remaining firm in his resolution to know the great secret of life and death. Nachiketas said, O death, these are fleeting, they weaken the vigor of all the senses in man. Even the longest life is short. Keep thou thy chariots, dance, and music. Men cannot be satisfied by wealth. Shall we possess wealth when we see thee, death? Shall we continue to live as long as thou rulest? Therefore, that boon alone is to be chosen by me. What man dwelling on the decaying mortal plane, having approached the undecaying immortal one, and having reflected upon the nature of enjoyment through beauty and sense pleasure, would delight in long life? O death, that regarding which there is doubt, of the great hereafter, tell us. Nachiketas asks for no other boon than that which penetrates this hidden secret.